Oh, hey guys, Chris Hoffman here with Lehigh Valley Just Listed Real Estate. I'm here today with my good friend and my title partner, Bill Thompson from ACT Settlement Services.
Hey everyone.
So we're going to talk to Bill today a little bit about what is title insurance and, why do you need it and all those good things. So Bill, first of all, how long have you been a title agent?
I'm going into my 23rd year.
And so your company is ACT Settlement Services?
Correct.
All right. And then do you cover the whole Lehigh Valley, or what areas do you cover?
Absolutely. We cover Lehigh Valley, deep into the Poconos, go south of Philadelphia, basically the eastern part of the state.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So I put together a little list of questions. I went on Google to see what are the most common questions that people search for. I figured this should be a good start to help us try to educate people a little bit on what is title insurance. So the first question, why is title insurance important?
Sure. So title insurance is important because you want to protect your interest in the property. So when you're buying the property, you want to make sure there's no liens, judgments, anything that's going to come back to haunt you in the future.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because that's a common question. A lot of people, when I represent buyers, ask, how do I make sure there's no mortgages, no liens? So that's basically what you guys make sure of.
Yeah, so our job is to make sure that we get all that information gathered from various sources, review it, put together a commitment to ensure that transfer is free and clear of any of those concerns.
So then a buyer doesn't have to worry about some mortgage popping up.
That's correct.
At a later date. Okay. Here's another question from Google. Is title insurance required in Pennsylvania?
It is not required. So as a owner purchasing the property with cash, absolutely not required. However, in order for my company to be involved, we would have to have an insurance policy written.
Right. But I think if you're getting a mortgage, probably the bank requires it, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Every lender on this planet is going to require a loan policy to protect their interest from those very items that we just talked about.
Because the bank doesn't want a mortgage to pop up or a lien or something either.
Correct.
All right. So let's see here. Here's a good one. Is title insurance the same as homeowner's insurance?
No, there's two different items that you're describing there. One protects your interest in the property, and homeowner's insurance, otherwise known as a fire policy, would cover any type of catastrophic loss. They call fire policy for a reason there, because if something were to happen to the actual
Hazard insurance.
Hazard
Homeowner's insurance.
Correct.
Yeah, some people get it confused. So title insurance is specifically to make sure there's no liens, no mortgages, no somebody coming out of the woodwork asking for money that they say is owed.
Correct.
And then the homeowner's insurance is what you would think it would be. Hey, God
It's to
forbid
protect the structure of the property.
something happens to your house. All right, great. All right, here's a question. Some of these are a little similar, but we want to get through them. Who should have title insurance?
Anyone buying a property, there should be not one scenario that you're going to say, I'm going to opt out. In my experience over 23 years, anyone who's ever decided to opt out of it finds out very quickly later on that there was something missed or something undiscovered that comes back to haunt them.
And if something pops up and you don't have title insurance, what can you really do?
At that point, you'd have to sue the previous owner and tie that property up in court for years trying to get resolution.
Okay, so let me see here. Here's one. How does title insurance affect the lender?
As far as affecting the lender, it's obviously going to be a positive for them because they have a product to lean on if there was something that would challenge their interest in the property. So
it's kind of protecting their interest in the house because that's their collateral, and
correct.
they don't want somebody coming forward and taking the house.
Correct.
All right. Here's another interesting one. What's the difference between owner's title insurance and lender's title insurance?
Sure. So again, we have two different policies being issued here in the Commonwealth. So the lender policy just protects the lender. The owner's policy protects the buyer, and that's going to be for the life that they own the property. The lender's policy, once that loan is paid off, that goes away.
Oh,
There's
that's
no more protection, and if the buyer had any issues or concerns, there's not even a lender policy to lean on. So one protects one party, the other protects the other, and here in the Commonwealth, for a fraction of the cost to protect the buyer, it's worth every penny.
All right, so there's actually two parts to your title insurance: the owner's policy, the lender's policy, and yeah, you mentioned that the owner's title insurance policy stays for the life of as long as you own the home, basically. That was another question: how long is title insurance good for? Your owner's policy is good for.
It's more or less good for attorney. So if there were a claim that came up against the property, even after you've sold it,
Oh yeah.
the future owner could come back to that policy and be like, hey, you need to take a look at this and indemnify us for a mistake that you may have made, even several.
So it's actually for forever.
Correct.
Okay, that's good. Who pays for title insurance?
So generally speaking, here in the Commonwealth, the custom is the buyer is going to pay for the policy. There are some other states that I've worked in where that is negotiable as far as who will pay it, whether it's the seller or the buyer. But here in the Commonwealth, the practice is the buyer pays it.
Yeah, I've been a real estate agent for 18 years, and it's always been part of the closing cost. It's been my understanding in Pennsylvania. So, all right. And then we already went over that one. How long is it good for? It's good forever. How do I get title insurance?
So to get title insurance, you just reach out to a reputable title agent, say, hey, I'm interested in buying this property, or maybe you're refinancing your home, and the lender at that point is going to require a policy as well. I would love for everybody to look me up, but
It's the name of your company again is,
it's Act Settlement Services.
and you have a website, I'm sure.
Yes,
People can Google you and find you.
correct.
Do you have your phone number memorized?
Yes.
What's the phone number? What's the phone number for Act Settlement Services?
866-558-4853.
Okay. Yeah. So typically, when you're working with a real estate agent like myself, we'll connect you with Bill. But if you're doing a transaction, you can always just reach out to him directly and have your questions answered, or get a policy if you need one. There's one last question on here, which I thought was pretty interesting. What does title insurance not cover?
Sure. So title insurance, obviously, or maybe not so obvious, with a lot of policies, whether it's car insurance, life insurance, there's always going to be exclusions to the policy. That can be on a case-by-case basis. On a general, just broad statement, depending on which policy you get, which that's a whole nother rabbit hole we can go down, it doesn't cover future events. So if you did something after you acquired the property that impacted it, the policy is not going to cover a future event. So really, the policy is strongest to enforce the past.
Because you don't know what happened in the past. So the title insurance is covering things that you might not know of.
Right. So if your neighbor, let's say hypothetically 5 years after you bought the property, decided to put their shed on your yard, you can't go back to the policy and be like, hey.
Because it's after you bought the property.
Correct.
After you bought the property.
Correct.
All right. Well, hey guys, I know it's not the most exciting topic of all, but we're trying to put together videos to give you guys information about the real estate process. Hopefully you know a little bit more about title insurance. Again, this is Bill Thompson at Act Settlement Services. He covers most of the northeastern Pennsylvania region. And then Chris Hoffman, Lehigh Valley Just Listed Real Estate. We're always here to help, and my direct line is 610-533-4549. You can check us out at LehighValleyJustListed.com. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.